So here we are. It is the final episode of Monday Night Raw before WrestleMania 35, and hopefully you're suitably pumped and you're suitably ready for the biggest show in the wrestling calendar. And if you're not, don't worry about it. You're still going to watch on Sunday. You're still going to moan. You're still going to complain, which means you're still going to have a good time. And that is always what it's all about. But my name is Simon Miller. This is WhatCulture Wrestling. Thank you very much for tuning in. I know you're looking at my t-shirt and my sleeves going, Miller, where are the sleeves? I like it like this. It's a style. It makes me feel all flowy, all right? And there ain't nothing wrong with feeling flowy, but let's bookmark it. Let's put it to bed. Let's bring it home. It is the last episode of Monday Night Raw, but it's not over because we've still got to give the good bits an up and the bad bits are down. And also I want to say I'm looking forward to seeing you all at WrestleMania and at the WhatCulture live show on Monday the 8th of the 8th before next week's episode of Raw. We sold it out, which is awesome. I'm going to shake all of your hands and slap all of your damn heads. Let's up those downs. Stephanie McMahon started off Raw and trolled the audience straight away by saying that her big announcement was that she was going to put herself into the WrestleMania 35 main event. Now, obviously, this was just an April Fool, but Steph, you should have played it out a bit longer. You clearly dove into it with the intent that people would take it as a bit of a rib. I would have much preferred you let them think you were serious, because the backlash would have been hilarious. Either way, it's getting up. And the reason for that is because she was only here for a quick segment and to let us know in the Becky Ronda versus Charlotte match at WrestleMania 35, it is going to be winner takes all. Now, I do want to say she never clarified what winner takes all mean. And I know you're thinking, Simon, we all know what winner takes all mean, and I do, and you do, but there were some rumors out there that WWE had decided to call it winner takes all, even though it actually wasn't going to be winner takes all. Now, thankfully, later on, Becky Lynch said that she was heading in to the pay-per-view in order to become the first ever Women's Raw champ and the first ever Women's SmackDown champ. So please just make sure you leave it at that, WWE. Don't just change tact because you decided you wanted to go in a different direction. Winner takes all makes sense, and if Becky Lynch does win, what an amazing shot to finish the event. 2 belt Becks. Also want to point out as well, that kind of ties into the video I did last week called Why WWE May Be About to Win the Brand Split, and you should watch that. It was focusing on this entire bit. Either way, this was short, it was sweet, it was easy going, like a Sunday morning. Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar followed this, and you already know what went down. Paul Heyman got a microphone, he talked for a while, as Brock Lesnar stood next to him, looking all tough and occasionally having a big grin on his face. It's as common as breathing if you only take one breath every 4 months. But it can get enough. Heyman's point too was that his client's match at the weekend is also going to be winner take all, because when Brock Lesnar is done with Seth Rollins, he is going to violate him and also take his career. And I'm not paraphrasing there. That is a quote. Brock Lesnar is going to violate Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 35. And really, that should be the stipulation of the match. It should be a violation match, although I don't really know what that would entail. He also then promised that the Beast would basically kill Seth Rollins, and then those two would just go out for dinner, because this ain't no big thing. They beat Seth Rollins, so what? They can do that any day of the week. Now they should settle down, have some steaks, and decide what's next. Imagine we booked that too. Imagine that happened. Brock Lesnar just beat Seth Rollins really easily at WrestleMania 35, and then on Raw the next night, they are indeed in a restaurant just having a little snack. Everybody would go crazy. Rollins didn't appreciate that, so he did what all wrestlers did. He bided his time, and when he felt the moment was right, he went out there to interrupt. And he told Brock Lesnar in no uncertain terms, nobody cares about you. I don't care about you. The fans don't care about you. Your mum doesn't care about you. Didn't say that one. I threw that in there. And do you know how Brock responded? He just laughed, and I don't think he was acting. I don't think he cares. Seth continued to bring up how impressive Lesnar was as a challenger, but that also it's not impossible to beat him, it's just improbable. So good work there, Seth. You're already telling me that you think it's improbable that you're going to win at WrestleMania 35. I am, of course, joking. Seth came across here like he wasn't scared and he wasn't threatened at all, including as Brock Lesnar just brushed by him, turning him around and kicking him straight in the testicles. And he didn't just do that once, but he did it twice, and to be fair, to the man that likes to burn things down, that is a Lesnar weak spot. We've seen loads of wrestlers do it, right down to The Undertaker, even though it did kind of make Seth Rollins a little bit of a heel. He didn't even wait for anything else. Again, he just spun him round and then boom, right in the nads. Rollins also finished all of this with a stomp, and I tell you, it worked. If you didn't think Seth Rollins had any chance against Brock Lesnar, WWE has now planted those seeds, but also on the other side to this, again, we just saw Seth Rollins standing tall on Raw. He even picked up the Universal Championship and held it above his head. And sometimes that means when you get to the big show, I don't mean the big show, I'm talking about WrestleMania, that person loses. Are you telling me Brock Lesnar is going to retain in New York? If that happens, boy howdy, you better barricade yourselves in, because the internet is going to melt the place down. In the back, there was also a quick interview with Rollins as Charlie Caruso informed him, you can't do that in your championship match, Seth. You'll be disqualified. And Rollins went, you are correct, but also, I don't care. And it's an up for Natalya, Sasha Banks and Bayley taking on Tamina, Nia Jax and the Iconics, mostly because of Beth Phoenix. And that was the idea. That was the whole point of all of this, hence why it gets an up. Basically, this was WWE's way of telling you that, look, man, don't count out Beth Phoenix. Just because she's been retired for a few years, she has, as the crowd likes to say, still got it. I mean, she even did like a dive into the barricade at one point and took out either Nia Jax or Tamina. I can't remember. And she got the win after she hit the Glam Slam. Good move, by the way, onto Peyton Royce. Other than that, not much happened here. The story was that none of these teams should be paired together because they all hate each other and they all bickered or just didn't bother helping each other out. And of course, we'll see the four-way this Sunday at WrestleMania. My only worry with this is we kind of feel like we've downplayed the women's tag titles already, and they haven't even been around for like 3 months. That is ridiculous. I can feel your eyebrows raising too, because as we get to our next segment, we also give it another up, and you're like, Simon, you give out too many ups, you positive asshole, and I go, ha ha ha. Steve Austin used to do that. Wah, no idea what he was doing, and I do that because I am positive. Everything with Batista, it kicked my ass. Give it an up. For years, what we've always seen before big matches is a wrestler comes out, he gets on the mic and he cuts a very long promo, going through every single thing that happened. And sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it just sucks. Like, I don't need to go all through this. Do something different. Well, Big Dave must have agreed to that, because he came out and he did something different. He walked to the ring, he pointed to the big screen. On it was just a bunch of clips of old school Batista kicking Triple H's ass, and then he looked right into the camera lens and he said, Hunter, kiss my ass. And then he left, and it rocked, and he did everything he needed to do to build up to his match without wasting too much TV time. And now, I'm desperate to see more of him. And let's face it, in the world of Raw, that is a rarity. This was fantastic. Batista, you are underrated gold. I don't know what that means, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. Dave Batista, underrated gold. I kind of hope that you win in a few days' time. But of course you're not, because Triple H's career is now on the line. You're going to lose, you're going to get a big ovation, I'll stand up and I'll clap too, and I'll miss you, Big Dave. You are meme central. We also saw Elias outside of MetLife Stadium as he was putting over the fact he is going to have a concert at the pay-per-view. Again, much like last week, I enjoy this because we're in different locales, and that just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Although yes, I still have no idea if the Drifter is meant to be a heel or if he's meant to be a face. He kind of, ironically, drifts between the two. What was not so hot was the fake Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I don't understand why WWE has no clue how to build those things. Finger of power down. It was framed as a lumberjack match between Jinder Mahal and Apollo Crews, and the latter won after around about 90 seconds when he hit Jinder Mahal with a frog splash. He then spied the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal trophy and he's like, oh, I'm going to go pose with this. But unfortunately, the B team also wanted to pose with it, so they just moved Apollo Crews out the way. This then led to a brawl, and I can only presume the reason was everybody wanted to take a picture with the stupid trophy so they could have a new Facebook profile picture. It also saw everyone getting thrown out of the ring as if this was the actual thing, and remember, it wasn't even a real match. And then, for no apparent reason, the only person standing tall at the end was Apollo Crews. Somebody please come and make sense of this for me. This, given what we just talked about with Batista, did feel a little bit like an elongated waste of time. Who can possibly care about this unless you're in it for the lols? It just comes and then it goes. Don't forget Cesaro won the first one, and we never even talk about it. It's an up for all the Kurt Angle stuff, even though if I do have one small tiny teeny issue with it, but again, getting up. As you know, it was meant to be Angle versus Rey Mysterio. We did have a little clip of them in the back being all buddy-buddy with each other, but we never got that fight. Instead, the Olympic gold medalist came to the ring. He cut a very impassioned goodbye promo, and then we saw on the big screen another video, but this time the likes of Stone Cold Steve Austin, John Cena, Randy Orton, and a whole host of superstars were basically telling us how Kurt Angle was one of the best, and when we cut back to the man himself, he looked genuinely emotional. I don't think he knew this was coming. It did kind of remind you how great Angle was in his prime, and then of course, it all got interrupted by Baron Corbin. And fair play to the Constable, I thought he was great here. He took his hatred and he ran it into the ground. He said all that footage we just saw should be in black and white, and these days we can't refer to Kurt Angle as this. He even struggles to take his jacket off. And that may actually be true. Angle said he could prove him wrong with an impromptu match right now. Even though Baron teased that he was going to do that, he eventually backed off. That brought Rey Mysterio out. Angle and Mysterio just whooped Baron Corbin's ass because that's what he's there for. But then we never got the Kurt Angle versus Rey Mysterio match, and I would like to know why. You can't just cancel a scheduled scrap just because somebody else comes out and does some talking. And if this is the case, why didn't Samoa Joe get this same protection? 7 days ago, he had to lose to Kurt Angle, so why couldn't Rey Mysterio befall the same fate? Now, I would have given this a down. Thankfully, WWE actually made amends before this evening is over, but I still wanted to rant about it because it makes no sense. You wouldn't do this in any other sport. Don't do it here. Quick Charlotte promo where she told us she was proud that she surprised the world last week when she beat Asuka for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and she's gonna surprise us all again at WrestleMania when she walks away after taking it all. And much like we said earlier, do not do this, WWE. I don't think I can handle the rioting, well, not on the real streets, but on the internet streets. It was then the Revival versus Aleister Black and Ricochet for the Raw Tag Team titles. Now that was very out of nowhere, and the finish kind of sucked, but actually in terms of the match, the way it built, and how much I enjoyed it, I got a right kick out of it, and that's why it is gonna get an up. The hoopla all began after Ricochet had dived over the ring post onto the Revival, and that was absolutely ridiculous, and as he was trying to get back in the ring to break the count, Dawson from nowhere, he was hiding under the apron. He put his hand out, he grabbed Ricochet's leg, and that meant he wasn't able to break the count. So yes, while the Revival did get the victory, it was just via countout. Now that's a bit weird, because you'd have to imagine, or at least I assumed, we were going to get this match at WrestleMania, but there was no announcement during Raw. It just finished, and it made me to believe maybe WWE's gone. We got way too many matches on the pay-per-view. We got to pull something. Who cares about the tag team division? Well, I do, WWE. But I think it may be dead. That could all change. They love to announce stuff on social media, but the vibe I got from this is that if they do that, it's going to be on the damn pre-show. And I'm just speculating, but it got me worried. But I am going to go back and reiterate, as a match, this was very entertaining. Ricochet and Aleister Black especially are just wonderful. And afterwards, the faces were so mad, they just beat up Dash and Dawson. Saw a black mass, saw a 680, 630, whatever it is. You know, Ricochet just does all his wibbly wibblies. We'll have to wait and see. WWE then unleashed a barrage of skits into my face, and I thought I had gone crazy. It started with Ronda Rousey. She was backstage. She was doing some shadow boxing. When Charlie Caruso went to interview her, Ronda was like, I ain't got time to talk. All I want to do is fight. But you can go and tell Charlotte and Becky that soon it's going to be their Judgment Day. You got the wrong pay-per-view, Ronda. It's WrestleMania. I don't even think Judgment Day exists anymore. We then cut to Alexa Bliss talking to Tyler Breeze, and she said he looks like a young Chris Hemsworth. No idea why. And EC3 was also there, so yeah, ring the bell. EC3 appearance on Raw, and he was laughing about all the Saturday Night Live stuff. Braun Strowman heard this. He came out, asked what the fuss was to do with, and they were so scared of Braun, they said, oh, it's those people down the hall. I think they were chuckling at you. Braun Strowman walked down the hall. He found a white guy, and he found a black guy, and he decided that they could take the place this week of Michael Che and Colin Jost, so he challenged them to a damn match, and for some reason, that match got made official. Roman Reigns was then telling us that he was ready for Drew McIntyre, although clearly he wasn't, because Drew then attacked him from behind and beat him down to the point Roman looked like he was about to cry. Drew also said, Roman, I want you to see my face when you close your eyes. I kind of like that. It's kind of like a nice sentiment. Maybe there's a bond here we don't know about. And also, if you'd like to know what I think about when I close my eyes, I'm going to show you right now. There he is, my favorite. I love it. I tell you, all of that back-to-back felt like an assault, and by the end of it, I felt exhausted. Now, I don't know what to do, so we're just going to do this. Put a tick on the up box, put a tick on the down box, put it up by one each, and we can just move forward. But next time, WWE, please, separate this. And I do know what to do when it comes to the final angle between Charlotte Flair, Ronda Rousey, and Becky Lynch, because there's only one thing in the ups and downs playbook that we can do. And that's not just give it an up, but give it a golden up. The idea here that all three were going to team up against the Riot Squad, but if either one betrayed the other, they would be kicked out of the WrestleMania 35 main event. Now, I do feel quite sorry for the Riot Squad because they lost here in around about 3 minutes. Ronda Rousey just tapped out Liv Morgan, but as soon as it was done and she heard the bell, Ronda realized, well, that stipulation's out the window, and she attacked Charlotte Flair like a rabid dog. It was absolutely brilliant. This all led to a massive brawl, which, yeah, we've seen time and time again on WWE. But they thought of brand new ways to make it even more bonkers than ever, and I tell you, I think we'll be able to talk about it for quite some time. Before long, all three were getting arrested. One, because these cops were some of the worst cops I've ever seen in my life. They got sent out to calm stuff down, but they couldn't do squat. And yeah, because they were all throwing fists and throwing legs, eventually either Charlotte, Becky, or Ronda tagged a police officer, and that meant they did have to be handcuffed and take away to a local prison facility, or whatever terms WWE uses. That didn't happen though, because the trio just refused to stop fighting. At one point, they looked like the first ever beat-em up you ever played. But when you had a SNES or a Mega Drive, or whatever your first video game console was, and you got one of those games, you had punch, it went like that. When they kicked, the person would go like this, and they just stick their knee out and thrust their foot into someone else. That's what all three were doing to each other. Then the cops proved they were terrible at their job, because you know what they did with Becky and Ronda? They put them in the back of the same police wagon, and they started attacking each other again, to the point Ronda missed, and she smashed her foot through a window. All of a sudden there was more carnage as these idiots realized what they'd done, so they took Becky Lynch out of that car. Then Ronda was like, well, now I've got free run of the place, and she got in the front seat, she put her foot down on the accelerator, and she smashed it into the other police car. Well, that Charlotte and Becky, they were still throwing everything at each other, and then when Rousey popped her head out of the car, Charlotte came by, smacked her right in the face with her knee, and that looked proper vicious. Trying to keep up with all of this was almost impossible, but that was the point, and when all three were finally driven away, you kind of thought to yourself, that was like three kids who were told, if you don't calm down, I'm turning the car around, but they didn't give two hoots. Now, it will make no sense when this match still happens on Sunday, because if you did this for real, you would be locked up for a damn time, but it's wrestling. Let's not get too pedantic, but let's talk about one more time, remind yourself, underline it, about how good this was. It was a great end for the main event angle, and I am excited to see what they're gonna do in a few days' time, especially because it's winner takes all. Maybe, but great. Well done, WWE. It was back down to earth with a thud after this, though, as Heavy Machinery beat Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. Lacey Evans came out, although she didn't walk down the aisle, turn around, walk back up. She just mucked around at the top of the ramp, and after Heavy Machinery had won, Bobby Roode looked really sad, and I kind of got the impression maybe they're going back to the angle they were going to do about 6 months ago, and will break up Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. I don't really care, hence why it gets a down. The downs continued as well, because then it was Braun Strowman beating up these two fake Saturday Night Live guys, and I guess it was nice to have somewhat of a break, but it also took all this energy that Raw had built up, and it threw it in the toilet. Michael Cole also said after Renee Young equipped that maybe the SNL guys could just call in sick, that WWE, and I quote, doesn't do sick. Are you kidding me, Michael Cole? Are you crazy? Did you actually say this week after what other people have said this week? I tell you, sometimes. Anyway, Braun Strowman did power slam these two fools for a while, and he just got the pin. I can't remember if I said it or not. It, of course, is getting a down. We go for another down too, because I just don't think WWE handled what came next in the right way. Bobby Lashley and Lio Rush were in the ring and saying they don't care about Finn Balor come Sunday in their IC Championship match, and regardless which version of Balor comes to the ring, he's still going to lose. And this was in response to all those rumors that maybe the Demon is going to be at WrestleMania 35. And I'd love to tell you, we just ended it there and we drew a line under it, but we did not. Instead, we cut to the big screen, and Finn Balor just let us know, from nowhere, no build, that he will be the Demon on Sunday because normal Finn Balor in front of our eyes transformed into the demon version. And that kind of sucks. Just no one extra is going to tune into WrestleMania now just because Finn Balor is going to be the demon. It's WrestleMania. People tune in regardless, and the pop that he could have got when nobody expected this, or at least when there'd been a bit of teasing rather than hurling it into your face, would have been far better. Also, this is what Finn Balor was told to do when he was in the demon character. Look into the lens and go, what the flip was that? All of this made me sad. That's why it gets her down. Although at least finally we are going to get the demon at WrestleMania. It's pretty much a year too late, but still, better late than never. Amazingly, Baron Corbin then beat Rey Mysterio clean. And this goes back to the earlier point I made when I refused to give something a down, because WWE did balance the book here. They did right their wrong. So it can get an up. The finish was also cool as Rey Mysterio came off the ropes and Baron Corbin turned that into a deep six. And again, yeah, he beat him clean as a whistle. There was no shenanigans at all, and this is the fallout from it. Samoa Joe and Rey Mysterio are now on an even playing ground because they both lost to people within this Kurt Angle Baron Corbin feud, and if you weren't taking Baron Corbin seriously, he just beat Rey Mysterio clean. Now it doubly sucks that he lost to Apollo Crews a few weeks ago. Why we did that, I don't know. But still, given that we're a few days out, we tried to make amends. I feel like we did. I'm alright with that. We all make mistakes. Just address it and try and not make mistakes again. That's what I feel like we did. As Baron was celebrating at the top of the ramp as well, Kurt Angle came up behind him and locked him in the ankle lock, so straight away, you can maybe kind of figure out that Kurt Angle could be losing his retirement match. And that goes back out to that internet riot again. And yeah, having this as the last thing you saw on the Raw before WrestleMania was a little bit tired, but still, there was enough good on this show, I think, to get you excited about the pay-per-view on Sunday. And if you're not, just find a way to be excited regardless, because it's WrestleMania. We've only had 35 of them, and it takes 12 months for a new one to come round. But if you don't enjoy it, you're just punishing yourself. I'm ready though, I'm looking forward to it. All 68 hours of the show of shows. Now, don't forget to leave a comment below and let us know what you thought about last night's episode of Raw. Like, share, and subscribe. Head over to WhatCulture.com. Read yourself some WrestleMania 35 articles. Follow WhatCulture on Twitter, WhatCulture WWE. Stay up to date with all the WrestleMania 35 news. Then go watch more videos here on WhatCulture Wrestling about WrestleMania 35. My name is Simon from WhatCulture. Thank you very much for watching, especially because, yes, that is the last Raw we will cover before WrestleMania 35, and next week's we'll be doing live from the Barclays Center. We'll try and do it outside somewhere, and of course, that will be absolute carnage. See you tomorrow when we up those downs for SmackDown.